Join myself and King as remedy. Together we will devour the very core.
Yo, hello guys. For today's guide, I wanted to talk about frame data. Now, I'll try my best to simplify things for you guys so that you can use frame data in your gameplay. Frame data is associated with how fast and how slow a move is when used. It will determine exactly what the move will do either on hit or on block. In some cases, there are also recoverable frames, but this game doesn't really have the tools to showcase recoverable frames. So we'll be only talking about attack startup frames and frame advantage, as well as frame disadvantage. Now, when something is considered to be either 0 frames on block, this means that you and your opponent do not have to recover any frames. So this places you and your opponent back at neutral. When something is considered to be either -1 to -9, this just means that on hit, if the opponent blocks your move, you are safe to then block right after. In other cases, if you're -1 to either -4 to -5 even, you're able to sidestep or backstep moves. Though, be careful though, that opponents can still use this against you. They can use a homing move if you're sidestepping, and they can still try to retaliate with longer hitting moves to hit you back if you're backstepping. But more than less, you're safe. In the other hand, if you use a move that is -10, -14 on block, this is where you're considered to be unsafe, and you cannot block the next incoming move. If the next incoming move is either 10 frames on startup to 14 frames on startup, you will not be able to block the incoming move. And the worst of it, if you use a move that's -15 and higher, you will be launch punishable, meaning that they can use any type of launcher that's either 15 frames on startup or higher depending on the frame data and launch you for their combos. I will now demonstrate exactly how some of the moves will look like and what would happen in certain situations either on block or on hit. On 0 block, we both ended up hitting each other. The reason why is that since we're both 0 on block, we don't have to recover any frames, but we both ended up using our 10 frame move. This means that since we both use our 10 frame moves at the same time, we both can clash and hit each other. But what about in the case that if you are either a bit plus on block? In this example, I use my 10 frame jab, which is +1 on block. The dummy is still placed in doing his 10 frame jab as well. Since I'm +1 on block, and the enemy is -1 on block, if you do a little bit of math, the way I would then situate it is that if the enemy does a 10 frame move, you'll just add the -1 to the 10 frame, making that frame into 11 frames. In my case, since I'm +1, you will be subtracting from your 10 frame move, turning your move into a 9 frame move. Now, this doesn't mean that your move actually becomes faster. It just means that you're recovering faster than your opponent at 1 frame. But to make it simple, I'm just using a little bit of math so that you can then see that the shorter number that is faster here would beat a number that's either higher than the 9 frame move. In the case that if the enemy ends up using a move on hit that you blocked, but it's -10, this can happen. As you saw, their 10 frame move ended up beating my move that I ended up using. I couldn't block right after. This is what they mean when they say a 10 frame punisher. Here's another example. As you saw there, I did my forward 4. My forward 4 on block is -13. And they ended up using their 13 frame startup move against me, which is down forward 1, into the follow-up string that's guaranteed. Since I tried blocking, I still got hit anyways. These are the examples that you can try using to then go up against the opponent and utilizing the frame data that you know about said moves. Now, what would happen if you were very plus on block? What kind of situation can you be placed in? In this example, I ended up using flee forward 2. Flee forward 2 is +7 on block, placing the target at -7. The move that I used in Manji stance was 2. It's a 16 frame on startup move. So how exactly did my move ended up beating their 10 frame move that they used? Well, again, do a little bit of simple math. Add the 7 to their 10 frame move. That turns into 17. My move, that was 16 frames on startup. Subtract the 7 on my end, and it becomes a 9 frame move. So, whatever move is shorter than the other move is the fastest. In this case, Manjitsu ended up beating their move that they try to use to retaliate against you. But that doesn't mean that they can't still crouch. As we just saw. A lot of Yoshimitsus love to use back 2-2 in their gameplay. They don't really know exactly how to punish a move, and they just retaliate into back 2-2, especially seeing that the move also heat engages on the last hit. So I will showcase exactly how a 14 frame punish looks like. Kintil 2 is -14 on block. So even when I attempted a block right after, the dummy used their back 2-2 and still managed to punish me. This is how you can tell when a move can be punished, as long as you go to training mode and then test the moves on the character that you want to train, and then see exactly what are their -14 on block moves are. Now here's a case when you see a move that's -15 on block, and how you will punish it. Down forward 2 is 15 frames on startup. The move that I use, Flash, is -15 on block. So whenever you see a move that is -15 on block, just use your launcher that's 15 frames. Now here's a bigger example of a launcher that can be used that is bigger than 15 frames on startup. 443 plus 4 is -20 on block. The move that the dummy used was CD1, which is 17 frames on startup. Again, the shorter move won. I attempted a block, but I still got hit by the move and got launched. These are all the examples that I wanted to illustrate for this video. So when you want to understand about frame data, just understand in the simplest of terms that on block will determine exactly your next move. So if the move is unsafe, then you will be hit. If the move is safe on block, then you can block the move. And depending on the type of frames and how low the frames are on block, you may be able to sidestep or backstep, sidewalk, and so on. In other cases, you may be able to retaliate. In the case of Yoshimitsu, well, he's a lucky fellow, he has Flash, which is 6 to 9 frames on startup. But the move is very short on end, so you had to be very close to hit them, and even then I couldn't still hit the opponent because they're blocking in this state. I'll be able to hit them with my Flash. So use this wisely, because if you don't and it gets blocked, you'll get launched. So I hope that this short guide will then help you understand about frame data. I hope that when you go and train, you'll try and figure out the moves that you're having a hard time blocking, or you're having a hard time trying to retaliate with. So if you enjoyed the video, please give me a like, subscribe if you want to see more of my shit, and stay tuned.